Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this broadcast. Thank you so much for your continued support. RUTO is IMF village elder in Kenya. That is what Kenyans are now saying up to this moment. As they were demonstrating, or in each and every moment they are demonstrating, they owe this and raising alarm to the current head of state that IMF is no longer needed in this country. I even listened to the senator of Kajiado saying this, that when he will become the head of state, he will throw away IMF. And as if this is not enough, even Kenyans in Diaspora, United States of America, once demonstrated. And they really disagreed with this IMF. So now today's political analysis want to find out, why do you think they have now generalized RUTO as a village elder in Kenya, having IMF deal in his administration?
Now, a section of Kenyans gathered outside the IMF headquarters in Washington, D.C. to decry what they said was gross economic interference occasioned by the IMF-induced austerity measures to Kenya. Chanting anti-government protests on Saturday, the protesters drawn from Washington, Maryland and Virginia accused the IMF of turning a blind eye on the ripple effect of the loans, which they said have led to loss of life. They displayed the names of those who have died in the protest due to alleged excessive use of force by the police, demanding that the IMF takes full responsibility of the deaths and injuries by compensating the affected families.
Our president any less culpable, because this is a collusion. This is a collusion, and this problem started before. It wasn't this finance bill. If you just go back on YouTube, from way back in 2018, people have been complaining about these new taxes.
Friends, family, and relatives. Let us just begin with the IMF in Kenya. IMF in Kenya. Then we want to get it deeper. The reason why they decided to have some of the negotiation with this UDA administration. And why are Kenyans against it? Why are Kenyans against it? Having been in this page, I am now seeing the GDP and the conclusion. By the way, the IMF members or officials are now out of this country after they have come up with a conclusion. And this conclusion is what you want to find out. IMF official. They decided to negotiate, yet Kenyans are disagreeing with this issue of IMF. I don't know. There might be something which Kenyans are. Yes, that is what I wanted. IMF staff completes governance diagnostic mission to Kenya. As I was just going through this page, at the request of the Kenyan Authority and IMF Technical Assistance Mission, led by a Rebecca Ab spokesman, visited Kenya from June 16-30, 2025 to conduct a governance diagnostic. This mission followed the scoping mission held on March 3, 5th, 2025. The governance diagnostic aims to identify macroeconomically critical governance weakness and corruption vulnerabilities and design action. And again, the IMF team would like to thank the Kenya Authority and other stakeholders for their hospitality, excellent cooperation, and candid, constructive discussion. A draft report which set all the findings and proposals quiz prioritized reform plan is expected to be shared with authorities for the review. So they have not completed their whole mission. It will be shared through the report authority for review. But why are Kenyans against IMF deal? That is the question. Why have they described the current head of state as as IMF village elder in Kenya? Number one, they don't trust this deal. They are seeing as if this IMF is going to make majority of Kenyans be bankrupt and forcing Kenyans to pay taxes every now and then through milking Kenyans. So, in other words, they don't trust this regime. The second observation, as much as we are borrowing, all these funds we keep on borrowing, I've never done something substantial where Kenyans can count and say, this is why we borrow and we have done this and that. For sure. Even the other day William Ruto went to China. Hii pesa alifanya nayo nini? Akarudi akaenda UK. We keep on borrowing, but the fund we are borrowing are not beneficiary for many Kenyans as we speak. Why? That is the question. I think that is why Kenyans are against this IMF. Because if you borrow a loan, expect to pay that loan. If you don't pay, you know the result. We always borrow. Hakuna mtu yote mwenye ana deni. Kila mtu akona hiyo deni. Lakini you have to pay. Hata kama ni kidogo, lipa. Mdogo mdogo. But the question is, why are they now thwarting this IMF deal? And even they had demonstrated against this IMF deal. It's because they are no longer having any trust with this IMF, because they believe Kenya might be like Zimbabwe. They might have lake auction in this country, because those who are borrowing this fund are just looting this fund, and they don't have to come up with a conclusion whereby Kenyans are aware that we borrowed this 2 billion, we have done this and that, we built SGR, we built roads, we built hospitals, and so on and so on. The conclusion have been made today as I have just read it. But the reality is that it is going to be reviewed by the IMF top officials. So where's the result? The result is here with us as soon as possible. It is now going to be upon the Kenyan government to either decide to be on the right track or on the wrong track. Vice versa. According to me, this is a kind of a great movement. Because a country cannot grow without borrowing. That is a fact, whether you like it or not. We must borrow because we are not superpower countries. But the moment we borrow, we must ensure that this fund is well utilized by at least giving them the profit. And also each and every person in this country enjoying the fund. Enjoying the government, not the fund, sorry. Because when we build good hospitals, good industries, we create job employment, and it's a source of revenue, and therefore we will be capable of completing our loan as earlier as possible, rather than topping up. So that is my conclusion. But they have decided to generalize it as IMF villager because he is not even completing this loan. Kenyans are still paying tax left, right, and center. So they are saying enough is enough. We don't want our country to be like a villager, where IMF officials coming, going, coming, going, coming, going. Yet we are Kenyans who always believe that we one day make this country to be the most productive country ever before. That is the message they have issued to the current head of state. I think the message is clear, and I rest my case at this point. Bye-bye, and I wish you all the best.